come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And today I'm joined by two regulars to talk about the final test between England and India in the series that began a year ago at Edgbaston. You can either look at it as the final test or you can look at it as a one-off test, either way. So, happy to welcome Ashoka at AB1 on Twitter. Hi, Ashoka. Been a while.
Yeah. Been a while. Hi, man.
Hi. And also Kartikeya, who is at Cricketing View on Twitter, writes a regular Substack and also writes essays and articles for ESPN, Cricinfo and other publications. Hi, Kartikeya. How are you?
Hi. How are you? Regular is a stretch, okay? But, you know.
Okay. I maybe it feels regular, but yeah, of course. We're missing Mahesh today. Mahesh couldn't be here because of travel and other commitments. But anyway, because Rohit Sharma didn't play the test, what use will Mahesh add to this podcast? So might as well continue without him.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, anyways.
I know Mahesh refused to even watch it because Rohit Sharma was not there.
Sharma was not.
Yeah, I was surprised when he said I didn't even watch much of it. That level of obsession this fellow has. Okay. Anyway, for regular listeners of the pod, you will know that we rag Mahesh about Rohit Sharma regularly. Mahesh being one of the big Rohit Sharma fans on Twitter and other spaces. Anyway, so to this test, terrific test. I enjoyed every bit of it. Disappointed that India didn't pull it off, of course, but watching as a neutral, it was fabulous to see. England won by 7 wickets. The series that began in 2021 ended 2-2. India, it also meant that India had failed to defend a pretty sizable total in their last 3 overseas tests, 2 in South Africa and 1 here. We can get into the reasons for that later. But yeah, I mean, if you talk about Rishabh Pant, Jadeja, Bumrah, Shami, Anderson, I mean, there were fabulous performances throughout. And, the memory, of course, will probably be the final innings when England managed to chase like 377, that 378 rather, that they were set. But I think, it was a fabulous test throughout, seesawing, and some great cricket. What did you guys make of it, Ashoka?
Yeah, as I said, as an Indian fan, probably disappointed, angry, shocked, all those things that India didn't make it, especially after they set like 377, whatnot. But as a viewer of cricket, I am far more angrier because things are now not starting to make sense. I have only one question. What the hell is happening? I don't understand. And that is making me more angry than an India fan. Because this is like saying up is now down, right is now left. So I can't understand.
Tests are now T20s.
T20s.
ODIs are tests.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is happening, man. So they're saying that this is some new philosophy that they have found called the Bazball or whatnot, which is ridiculous, right? Like the way I understand Bazball is like bowl 10 balls at the opposition, take all 10 wickets. Then next 2,680 balls, just hit sixes. Then the last 10 balls of the test, take another 10 wickets. And that way you save test cricket. Now, if this seems to be like the ideal position of Bazball, which if I go and tell on any professional forum, they'll not only laugh at me, but they will lock me up in some mental asylum. But apparently this is a philosophy. So I don't understand what's happening. And I refuse to believe any explanation that comes out of this pitch flattened out. They use the heavy roller.
So just like we have flat earthers, we should have flat pitchers.
Yeah. So now it's a very ridiculous situation that I'm caught in. Like the most rational person inside me is the India fan. He is saying, okay, at least I'll accept the defeat. because the neutral observer is now raging against this kind of disbelief. Because this is not just this match, right? Like England chased 275 plus totals against New Zealand. So the not understanding part of it is making me very, very angry.
Interesting. Now, I have one quick question though, and this is a question it probably applies to many fans across different sports. I can understand happiness and disappointment when you watch sport. Why does this anger come in? And why are people so angry all the time about some team or the other losing?
Who? As fans? I mean, I would say that is probably that is a projection of your daily life sucking, you taking it out on, teams. But this rage that I'm experiencing is quite novel because I'm not, if you say 2 plus 2 is equal to fish, it is maddening because that's not how we have seen things. And this has been happening for a while now. Maybe people are saying that the pitches are getting better as the match progresses, which I don't know. There are some crucial pieces of information that we are missing. Maybe the soil composition and the way they now lay pitches and the way they maintain pitches, they have changed and we don't know that. Like in this recently concluded IPL, there was some chemical that they were, spraying it out on the outfield to combat dew, which explained why for a portion of IPL, everybody was chasing and suddenly now everybody was setting targets because the effects of dew, went down. So those kind of information, if you don't get it, you're just in the dark. You're thinking, okay, fine, 5th day, pitch will break. 3rd day, it was going left and right. The ball was going left and right and also up and down. Like Pujara faced the ball. Which,
admit it, Ashoka. Admit it. Your real problem with the chemical is that it repelled CSK success.
No, there is another thing that I don't understand. How the hell did Gujarat Titans win the title, man? I am looking at their squad and I'm still cannot make sense. But anyways, we'll come to that.
That is now we are going on major digressions. Start off, Kartikeya, with your general thoughts of the test, and then we can move a little deeper into explanations of this, how the world changed forever.
So, England are really strong in England. Anderson, Robinson, Broad, Wood, Potts. Potts, I think, is still a journeyman compared to Robinson. I think Robinson is a slightly different class but again, Robinson, it's not clear that he can stay fit for an entire series. So that always makes for good test matches when both teams have strong attacks. I think India were on the one hand, you can't really complain that India continued with their policy from last year, where they kept playing 4 fast bowlers. Even though I think there was evidence from the New Zealand tests that there's less sea movement this year. Our friend Daniel Norcross, he says that the New Zealand test matches were played on not new ball pitches but with new ball balls, which basically means that after about 30-40 overs the ball stops doing anything, and so the batsmen are able to play a lot of shots, and there's something to that. The scoring did become much easier after the 35th over of the ball, and this balls got thumped so much that so many of them had to be changed. That's another pretty unusual thing. So something weird did happen with the balls. I think we don't really know what. It would be interesting to find out. I don't know if the same pattern is being repeated in county cricket with the balls, or if they even use the same balls for all the county matches. Because I know that some time back there was this whole theory that they should play some county matches with the Australian ball, so that it helps them when they go to Australia, or some such weird theory. But I think England won a good toss. It gave them the best of the conditions. There seems to be a theory that the wickets in England are not going to break up enough to become like unplayable by the fifth day. And I think the fact that there was rain on the first 2 days helped that. And so that sort of makes it so that, batting becomes easier in the fourth innings. And there, I think the 245 was probably light in the third innings. And I think Ben Stokes, especially, Ben Stokes has this way of chasing wickets when he bowls, where, he's not really a fast bowler in the traditional sense, that he doesn't have a standard length and he doesn't have like a plan A where he's trying to get wickets. He's constantly chasing wickets somewhere. He's trying to get the batsman to do something silly. He's trying to get the batsman to, hit a bouncer which is slightly quicker than the batsman thinks, or he's getting the batsman to, drive at something which is slightly wide, or he's constantly, provoking the batsman. And he's got that nip, that ability to actually, beat the batsman's timing often enough. And I think with Shreyas Iyer, I think they did. I have to say they saw a fairly clear problem and they exploited it both times with the short ball. So I think 245 was a little light, but I don't necessarily think that India did too much wrong. It's just that, they played brilliantly in the first innings and they got outplayed by brilliant England in the second innings. I don't really know what there were so many great performances that, I think it's churlish to say that, so and so is to blame or such and such is made the telling errors or whatever.
I don't agree entirely with the fact that England got the better conditions to bat, right? Their first innings on that sort of start-stop day with the rain and Shami and Bumrah bowling the way they were, it was hard. It wasn't, I wouldn't say that.
The first innings was even harder. No, the wicket was doing even more in the first innings when India batted. So the wicket eased sort of relatively as the pitch and the weather got better. And England got to bat a lot more in better weather than India. And so I think overall, England have definitely sort of decided to take up this approach of winning the toss and
he said we'll chase at the toss, which itself is quite a different thing for a captain to say at a toss. Yeah.
And it's an odd thing, but if you look at the statistics from the last 5 years or so, if you look at the comparison of first inning scores and second inning scores, that means innings 1 and 2 and innings 3 and 4, then in all the countries in the world, the scoring drops off in the second innings, except England and I think one more country.
Maybe
New Zealand.
No, actually Pakistan. But that's over a very small number of matches.
Yeah,
so
Pakistan
I don't know
have
how
not
reliable
played
that
much.
Is. Yeah, so I don't know how reliable the Pakistan figures are so far. Maybe after England go there, we'll know more. But in England, the scoring holds up. And there have been a lot of these big fourth inning scores. Even in last year, India conceded leads in the of 100 at the Oval, and then they made 480, 450 or whatever in the third innings. And then on the fifth day at the Oval, if you look at the Cricviz pitch, they have a pitch score which gives how difficult the pitch is for batting. And it was an even easier fifth day pitch there than it was here. And both were really easy fifth day pitches, like easy fifth day batting pitches. So clearly, I don't think Bazball is all just but. There's a logic to it, and I think the logic is that you try to bat when it's best to bat, and you try to bowl when it's best to bowl, and that if you bat when it's best to bat, and you have all these stroke makers, and let's face it, Bairstow and Root are, as they've shown in one-day cricket, they have a ability to produce strokes of great quality, all around the wicket, and if you have that ability, then perhaps there is an inefficiency in the conventional estimate of the risk involved in playing strokes, especially if it's not seaming. Now the question is, if you have a normal conventional test pitch, right, which by the fourth and fifth day there will be uneven bounce, there will be turn and all those things, then does it work? I don't know, and I don't actually think it will work. But over here it definitely works. And it is not at all, I think you're absolutely right to bring up New Zealand as another place where the wickets become better, because in New Zealand also there's a pattern of big third and fourth inning scores. You remember even way back, Astle and Flintoff, I think.
Yeah, that
the big
222 Astle.
Yeah. And so many others. And there also the pitches have a tendency to become really good by the fourth and fifth day sometimes when they don't break up. And so it's not surprising that McCullum has this theory.
No, I mean, see, I agree, but pitch here became dramatically better from day 3 to day 5, right? Day 3, we saw that there was up and down, and Pujara was like fending off grubbers, man, which came down to his shoelaces halfway through the pitch. It pitched there and then came right to his boots. So, and then Kohli got out because of same ball that pitched like in the same good length and then came to his, like, really to his face. So there was up and down, and that's what surprised me even more here, because then all of that disappeared. Maybe then the explanation given was maybe they used heavy rollers and whatnot. But then how long can a heavy roller effect hold on? It can't hold on for a day, right? So that's the surprising bit here. Not on my point is not on the gradual historic ease of batting in England. Here it was very surprising.
But see, Ashoka, he mentioned, it's not just the pitch, right? It's also the ball. Something was majorly happening. I mean, the variance in the ball movements that was happening when they changed the ball, it was alarming, man. I mean, there was like suddenly you would find the ball, the bounce itself on each ball that was being changed was quite different. So there is something going on. There is something there. We don't know what it is. And even I don't think I've ever seen a ball being changed as often as it was here in a test. I mean, in my memory.
No, now so you see the reason for my anger. Like, it's frustration. It's like I don't know why the hell is happening.
Yeah. We don't. But the other thing here is we must mention that, it's also, while this seems revolutionary and all, and it perhaps is, we don't know, but we have also been seeing a bowler-dominated sort of test for a long time now. I mean, it's ever since, I would say, for the past 5-6 years, we've seen so many bowler-dominated tests that to then see 4 straight test matches where a team is chasing, 250 plus, you're like, oh, it seems so different. It's like, when did this happen? I mean, had the same thing happened in, say, the early or mid 2000s, we might not have been as surprised. I mean, we would have been surprised with the run rates that some of the England chasers have gone at, but we would have not perhaps been surprised because that was a very batting friendly sort of era where pitches were much flatter throughout. So that there is a reason for this surprise as well, because it's coming on the back of some, it's coming on the back of tests where chasing 200 itself has been really hard.
2022 has been good year for batting generally so far. I don't know, it may be combination of features, but it has been generally better.
I mean, Pakistan, Australia test, Pakistan in one test in the 4th innings, they made a huge total, right? So
and Ashes, right? Ashes, I think Khwaja made 10,000 runs in 1 year.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of batsmen have come to life, no? Khwaja, Bairstow,
Litton Das.
Yeah, and then all the Pakistani players, Babar and company.
Rizwan.
Pope.
Everyone except Indian batsmen, you mean?
Rishabh Pant has had a fantastic
year. Pant is perhaps one of the best batsmen going around now. Yeah.
No, but you're okay. And even in this New Zealand series, if you see that first test, the first innings were 130 and 140. The second test, the first innings were 550 and 490 or whatever, or probably both were actually close.
500 plus.
Yeah, something like that. So it is. I mean, there's a broad range in the scoring. I don't think the bowling's gotten worse. It's not a question of thinking. I mean, the Cricviz records show that the sea movement is less. And when sea movement is less, then that one huge weapon for the bowlers is gone. So then they have to fend for themselves in other ways.
Okay, let's get to the issue of this new method of playing itself. One thing, though, and I'm pretty sure you guys will agree, that irrespective of how England bat and how they decide to bat and what mindset they use and what they decide to attack and defend, they're not going to win test matches without the bowlers getting 20 wickets. So the starting point is that their bowlers have now started taking 20 wickets compared to the Ashes, right? I mean, that is a huge deal in itself. I mean, in the third innings, if India might have even been willing to bat on for longer if they had to draw the game, because for them, drawing a game would have been winning the series. But the fact that England actually got India out for 245 was how they could even give themselves a chance. No. So first, I mean, the English bowling has stepped it up to start with.
Yeah, don't disagree there. Yeah, they bowled better than India as per record. They got more wickets. So obviously they had it in them. But that being said, I think this is this whole Bazball thing is a hedge against their bowling, because their bowling is not always suited to all conditions. So this might be a hedge where the batsmen score so many runs that you can pad, some of that ineffectiveness. At least if you don't get a win, you can at least draw the series off. Because England, I think, coming into the New Zealand series, were in a very terrible position, at least in this World Test Championship cycle. They had lost like crazy amount of matches.
I don't think in Test cricket you can hedge runs against wickets, Ashoka. I mean, I think you can do that in one-dayers because runs are what are all that matter there. But here, the moment your bowlers, if the opposition scores consistently scoring 400, 500 plus against you, I don't think this kind of approach is going to really compensate for that. So I think you have to have that balance. Anyway, Karthikeya.
No, I think in England's bowling has always been quite good. I mean, their problem comes when they play abroad with their bowling. I mean, when they play in England, they invariably they are very, very good at getting wickets. Firstly, James Anderson is playing James Anderson in England is one of the tougher assignments in Test history. I mean, he's really a fantastic bowler in England, and he's bowled so low for such a long time in England that I think, like, when he's 50, he could still sort of get up one morning and bowl in a Test match and like get 5 wickets.
Do not say things like that, even in joke. As a joke, do not say things like that.
As Ashoka memorably said on this podcast, in perhaps the greatest line ever said on the podcast, he's the Karunanidhi of cricket. Yeah,
he is. He really is.
Dude, the horror of it is like he will go past Shane Warne and Muralidharan, man. Then I really will stop watching cricket. Then there is nothing else to do.
No, and look at it this way, right? His whole method he can just keep going on and on. It's not like he's exerting like massive amounts or anything. He is such a well-oiled bowler that who is to say he won't be bowling at 50?
No, yeah, it's hard work. I mean,
of course it's hard work.
Really hard. He has to train really hard to maintain this.
Okay, but tell me this. For every ball, ball by ball comparison, for every ball that Anderson bowls to every ball that, say, a Bumrah or a Shoaib or somebody bowled, what it is taking out of his body is, not that much.
But that's by design, right? And that's by design. He has modeled his
he's a medium fast bowler.
Yeah, exactly why I'm saying that he can keep going on and on and on, which is I'm saying it as an asset, by the way. Yeah.
Don't say such things, man. I haven't not told you not to say such things. For one thing,
we say it is an asset. I mean, he's really, really he's built in the lab to bowl in England, man. I mean, and like he's a really, really wonderful machine for bowling in England. Look, this series ended 2-2, right? And I think basically Ashoka will hate me for saying this, but it has to be said because it is objectively true. The IPL literally cost India this series.
Why will I be angry if you say that?
Because you are like you think
I would be
little side.
And on the but on the flip side, Johnny Bairstow has actually credited the IPL for the form that year. So you can also look at it both ways.
No, that's okay. That's a matter of opinion. But it is objectively, literally a fact that if the IPL was not scheduled to restart 10 days after the scheduled fifth test, India would probably have stayed on in England and played the fifth test the week after it was scheduled. Yes, last year.
Yeah. They not probably. India would have. Yeah.
Yeah. Look here. We say that the series ended 2-2, but England took 70 wickets in the series and India took 69. Okay, so England's bowling in England is fantastic. England's bowling away from England is a different story. But England's bowling in England, I mean, and the funny part of it is English spinners actually do better in England than they do away from England. This is true about all of their modern spinners, Leach, Moeen, all of them.
And that shouldn't be surprising. I mean, they bowl at home all the time, so you would expect them to do better at home, right?
Perhaps, but it doesn't really. I mean, yeah, okay. You can see why. I can see why that's persuasive, but it's still it's still an oddity, no? I mean,
it's like India's fast bowlers do better. There are Indian fast bowlers who do better in India than abroad. I mean, Umesh being the classic standout. So I don't think that we should be that surprised with that. But anyway, so having said that,
the other thing is that I think that if there's no seam movement, then Shardul Thakur is basically in trouble as a test match fast bowler.
Yeah, I agree that he didn't bowl well, but you have to have sympathy for the guy because in the first innings, because of all the rain breaks,
he's the Lord.
No. Because of all the rain breaks, Bumrah and Shami bowled majority of the overs, got majority of the wickets. So that guy didn't need to bowl. And when he was called upon to bowl, it was like super sunshine, super easy pitch. They just got on the front foot and whacked him like they whacked him in IPL. So, I have some sympathy for him in this test match. But I always thought that, Ashwin should have played ahead of him. Or at least ahead of Shreyas Iyer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not, everyone thinks this is an Ashwin versus Jadeja issue. It is not Ashwin versus Jadeja. And we have been saying it on our podcast for a long time. I mean, the argument has been that why
is the world unfair to our Ashwin?
No, not why is the world unfair to our Ashwin. Why is when you have two exceptional bowlers in Ashwin and Jadeja, why not make use of both of them at the expense of either a batsman or a Shardul, who is also like technically, for all practical purposes, an all-rounder in the team. I mean, he can give you a very good 50, and in South Africa, he gave you 7 wickets and a 50 in a match. So of course, it's great to play him when conditions favor. But yeah, I mean, I also think they misread the pitch, and we shouldn't really get this. That's probably as simple an explanation as that. They probably thought that Shardul is great for conditions that assist. They thought that the conditions would be good throughout, and it just wasn't. So I don't know if we need to go much deeper into that.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand did a similar thing, no? I mean, in the test match where Jack Leach ended up taking 10 wickets, they did not play Patel.
Ajaz, yeah. Yeah, that exactly. And then, they did like all sorts of things. They didn't pick Wagner, and then they finally got him back. And it's hard. I mean, and again, it could be that we are having quite a outlier of a English summer too. I mean, with the way conditions are going and pitches are behaving, it could be all sorts of things that people are misreading. So I'm.
And
not too fussed about
also,
that.
Let's accept that Bairstow and Root are in some form. It's one thing to say Bazball. It's another thing that everything they hit is middled, like magnificent.
Let's be honest. If you distill what they are doing, like Bazball to its essence, it's Root and Bairstow ball, man. And occasionally Stokes, who has done well. But Stokes anyway is the kind of batter who has the ability to play in so many ways in the past that it's no surprise that he will occasionally come and make a quick 50 or 100. But essentially, this whole Bazball has been Root and Bairstow batting at a different order altogether.
And you can take Root out of that also. He's been doing that for the last 2 years before all this Bazball nonsense. He's been
but he wasn't that great in the Ashes, right? If you take that out. Yeah.
That was some bowling on some bowler-friendly pitches. You will never convince me that Pat Cummins and company are ordinary bowlers. Sorry, they are exceptional.
You just don't run to defend Cummins when nobody's even accusing them.
Who is accusing Cummins of being an ordinary bowler?
Suddenly he just wants to say Cummins is the greatest bowler in every podcast that he's called on. So,
yeah. Just like we have one Rohit Sharma Bhakt on the regular, this Cummins Bhakt is also there.
It's not Bhakti, it's observation.
That's what even Mahesh says. I observed Rohit Sharma being God level. That's what he also says.
Nobody said anything wrong about Cummins. Nobody said anything wrong. Cummins is perhaps the best fast bowler in the world, man.
You saw Cummins in one of the greatest test match bowling performances of all time in Pakistan earlier this year. He took 12 wickets at 22 in that series. He was basically, he was drawing blood from a stone. Like he was drawing blood in droves from a stone.
He got whacked in the IPL though. So I'll posit that as an argument saying that he can't even bowl to Rajat Patidar properly. What the hell are you talking about?
Okay, this is getting into extremely funny territory now.
I have no comeback to that.
Okay, let's get back into the podcast that we are on now. This independently, we have gone into Cummins podcast, but first of all, I don't think I've ever seen Johnny Bairstow bat better in his life. I mean, he had a dream run. I think it was 2015 or 16 or something when he was batting extremely well. But this is a different level of zone that he has got himself into, because you can even see like the certainty with which he is leaving, which he's hitting. It's like he has some square in front of him and the ball goes there, it's gone. It's just disappeared. And if he's figured out like his exact scoring zones, he knows where the field is. The way he's manipulating the field is something that batsmen do when they are in the peakest of form, and that is where he's batting now. So yeah, I mean, but you say what you want about Bazball, this ball. I mean, but the way Bairstow has been batting, it's like Sehwag at his peak, or AB de Villiers at his one-day peak, where he could hit anything anywhere.
Let's bring it all down. Bairstow is like having a second life after like 70, 80 tests, just like Ishant Sharma did. So he is like an English batting Ishant Sharma. Let's start from that level. Let's not go to AB de Villiers.
I don't think Ishant Sharma scaled these levels even with his bowling. I mean, this is like Ishant Sharma getting 10 wickets in 4 consecutive tests or something like that.
No, in bowling equivalence, he had a year of 19 with a 19 average and a 40 strike rate for 2 years. I mean, after he came back, which is like mind blowing. So I would say, yeah, we'll start at that level before we go and take him to the next AB de Villiers and the next Brian Lara and everything.
No. I'm talking simply about the manner in which he's batting and middling. And of course, he has his good fortune. There is no doubt that there was that Vihari catch, that Pant catch. There have been few chances here and there, but that's bound to happen to any player taking risks.
Sure, he's an absolutely one of England's greatest limited overs batsmen. Him and Jason Roy should be there in the conversation when they talk about all-time England level in ODIs and T20s. Somehow he has found a way and a window where that has translated into tests. Not like he has tightened his technique and whatnot, but he also plays and misses. But he has found a way to, all his hits are coming off, and they are coming off spectacularly, right? He's being decisive when to pull, when to drive, and all that. So yeah, props to him.
Yeah, props to him. But when and also when he misses, he doesn't feather it, and when he misses, the ball goes over the stumps. It doesn't clip the bail. That's not always going to happen, but it is happening. And he seems to be in this. He seems to be in this place where he's just going to keep playing that way. That is you run into that sometimes. I mean, Tendulkar in 1998 was like that. There's nothing anybody could do. He was going to make runs against anybody. And then Tendulkar in later years was not like that. So
yeah, I feel the first innings 100 of Bairstow was one of the best knocks I've seen in a long time. I mean, the second innings, of course, was amazing because they were chasing a big target and all. It had that effect. But the way in which the confidence in that first innings. I mean, there's in fact a very interesting podcast on Sky where it was a TV clip which they've converted to a podcast where Mark Butcher and Kevin Peterson are talking about a batsman being in the zone, and what exactly that means. And they are talking about how you can slow down time, like when you are in the best phase in your batting, you can actually slow down time. And KP says how when he was in that phase, he actually could had a premonition of what is coming. He felt that as the bowler is running in, he felt that a certain kind of ball is going to be bowled, and he had already decided where to hit it. And even if it wasn't the case, the time would slow so much that he would have the time to then play it wherever else. So that is the kind of approach that Bairstow seems to be having. I mean, he's seeing it, reacting, and he has all the time in the world to play where he wants, hit it where he wants to.
Man, that is the good luck England had, man. That is Bairstow on one end, and Root was even doing that on the other end. And I mean, it was so bad that last day was like not just the last day, the fourth day was so terrible. 100.
I was thinking this is probably how it would have felt as an Australian watching Lakshman and Dravid bat that day. Maybe that is that is like the sort of the flip side to it.
It's inevitable. I knew you were going to bring this up. It's like
at least this made sense. You brought Cummins into this podcast with no context and no segue.
Podcast about a test match. Cummins is always welcome in it. Yes.
Yeah. So what is wrong with Lakshman and Dravid, man? Okay.
Not in the same class, man.
As Cummins.
Firstly, Cummins is a bowler.
Yeah, but Cummins is on the same class as McGrath and Gillespie, no? That much you may agree, no?
No, Cummins is one level above, like Gillespie. He's a better version of McGrath.
This is peak McGrath attitude, dude.
Is McGrath with like 3 more yards of pace.
Okay. Let's not argue about that now. That will take another 10 minutes.
Our man Jasprit Bumrah is not far behind, huh? And this series has been like the making of Jasprit Bumrah. Some of his bowling in this series has been extraordinary.
Yeah. But let's complete the Root Bairstow sort of chat. Kartikeya,
I think Bairstow's first innings 100 was like you talk of if you can think of a innings of a batsman in great form, and you see that's an innings of a batsman in great form. I mean, he missed 31. He played 31 false shots in 113 balls. That's more than 1 in 4 balls. He missed it, and yet when you remember that innings, you do not remember that. You remember like first 60-70 balls just a struggle, and then the next 50 balls just he's, if say anything in his half, he's going for it, and he's lofting cleanly over mid-off or cover or mid-on or mid-wicket or whatever. And
I think he went
middling
from 50 to 100 in 38 balls or something. The second 50 came in 38 balls. Yeah.
See,
And
this is why people don't trust Karthikeya. Okay, he said he was struggling for 60 balls and then the next 50 balls he hit, which is true. But he missed the most key fact there. Kohli came and riled him up. That, filled him with grit and resolve to dominate this Indian bull. This is a fact I think stats don't show. But you have to actually match ka mujrim, if you have to say it, I would say it's Kohli. I mean, he actually... Yeah, of course.
Kohli is like, what is he supposed to do? I don't understand. It's like all these people are like, what are you prancing about for? Make some runs. Like, what is he supposed to do? On the one hand, these people say, oh, batsmen are all quote unquote selfish. They play for themselves. And then like this poor fellow is not making any runs. And now they want him like even when he's fielding, he has to think about his batting instead of like actually, riling up the opposition, trolling them, like doing good things like that.
But
I think these a lot of people think that everything that Kohli is doing on the field is all like highly considered, planned, prepared, rehearsed, and then finally he's coming and acting it out and all that without just giving that guy an allowance of just reacting to the moment and expressing himself, on top of which the camera is obsessed with him. So the only thing you will see after every ball is him, even though he's no more the captain of the team also.
It is so dumb that so many people were taking Team Kohli versus these England supporters were trolling Kohli. These guys were going and fighting. Meanwhile, in the next auction, Bairstow will be picked up by RCB and those guys will be laughing their way to a bank, each earning like 50 crores each. And all these guys will suddenly say, Kohli, Bairstow, bye-bye. So it's such a stupid little thing in the middle of an intense test match. The match was so intense.
This test match of all test matches where so much was happening with batting, bowling, fielding, everything. And these people still have like attention to give to like one guy,
So, okay, so Bairstow, continue.
No, I think basically it really was, I think, and that kept England in the game because, in the first innings, Rishabh Pant had really, I mean, that was, with all due respect to Bairstow and Root and all of them, Lees and whatever other, Lees is like a complete thuggery, man, his batting. And the outstanding innings of the match, the stunning innings of the match was Rishabh Pant's 146. I mean,
it was so stunning because he was hardly playing like Rishabh Pant normally does. He was just playing.
He made that. He put not a foot wrong. He played a lot of fall shots. He played like 27 fall shots, 111 balls. That's also comparatively compared to the average top order innings. That's a very high percentage of fall shots, same as Bairstow's first innings. But he made 146 in 111 balls. I mean,
27 fall shots. I would have never imagined that. I thought he didn't play more than 10 fall shots.
I know. I mean, that's what it seems like.
Why does it seem like that? Because even when they're playing the fall shots, they are like a bit in control. Why is it that way?
No, because the fall shot doesn't stay in your memory because I still remember like a couple of cover drives he played. I mean, the Rishabh Pant on the rise, and like the ball is seaming. James Anderson's bowling like the perfect fourth stump. It can go anywhere. It can move into the off stump. It can go towards second slip. It can go straight. If it's cross seam, it can bounce extra. And it does none of those things. And this guy, like, it's a perfect balance. Like, he doesn't even move, take a stride after hitting the ball. He just plants the foot down and blasts it. Like, it's just you don't that your memory plays tricks with you with that sort of thing. No, I mean, even with Bairstow, you remember like he's playing on the rise. He's just lofting the ball on the rise of a good length, and you remember that. You don't remember the fact that 2 overs ago he tried the same thing and the ball went between bat and cat and above, straight over the top of middle stump. You don't remember that,
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
remember the
Rishabh
fact
Pant
that
was
at
outstanding.
other times Rishabh Pant is like poking outside off stump, and the ball catches the toe of the bat and falls to the ground. On another day it will go off the inner edge and hit the off stump. But that day it didn't. And
Yeah,
of course, there's also the special thing with that innings, which is that he has this special relationship with Jack Leach.
Jack Leach is kind of the cricketer who looks like this 9 to 5 office type who's just come in there to do his job and then go home. This picking on that guy looks very unfair. Like with Pant's talent, he was hitting 106 of him. He was hitting him in the air. It looked like a catch, and then it went like 10 rows behind. It was so unfair. I mean, finally, obviously, he got his wicket in the second innings, but I felt very bad for Jack Leach.
Let's not forget also another superior innings that happened in that along with Pant, which was Jadeja. I mean, totally different style of innings, but Jadeja is also batting at quite a level of late. And again, don't think I've seen him bat as well as he has been batting in the last 1 or 2 years ever. I mean, that guy, again, man, look at the kind of control he has been showing. I mean, he's middling. I don't know his fall shots and all, but he seems to be middling everything. And of course, the greatest batting performance of the match, which was Jasprit Bumrah of Stuart Broad.
Yeah, I would not. That was just the most dumbest thing that I don't know. I think they lost their minds for half an hour. I don't know what they did. Why were they bowling short? I mean, short, I get it, but why were they bowling full tosses, man? I mean, this was just, it was really stupid that, like, for 15 minutes, everybody lost their mind.
And what a comedy that Stuart Broad, man. Again, fellow got hit for 6 sixes of Yuvraj Singh. Now again, he's getting hit for 35 runs. If he plays a one-day match, somebody may hit him for 36 runs there also. So who knows?
The funniest part of that is that except for that last 6, which was like complete like Gordon Greenwich carbon copy, the other runs were all accidents. Like Bumrah could have got out on all of those balls.
Yeah, one without the help of even Broad. I think he actually fell on his stumps. He actually touched the stumps. The bail just moved a little bit. He could have gotten out there also. So it was really, really funny. I mean,
so first innings, we spoke about the first innings. Surely we have to touch upon the third innings, which is India's second innings. I mean, I was just checking some scorecards and sort of saw the New Zealand tour, South Africa tour here, and coach Dravid has also spoken about how the third innings batting is also a concern as much as it is the final innings bowling. I don't know. I mean, I feel that India doesn't close out matches enough in the third innings. I mean, the middle order tends to collapse, and it has been happening. I mean, I don't know if I'm overreading or...
I have a solution, but people will not accept this. Make Kohli captain again, which means he will lose the toss, which means most teams will bat first. So you never have to bat third. You always have to bat fourth.
No, but this is the whole Bazball thing. No, they are now chasing. Don't you realize? It doesn't matter what India does, the other team now, England are chasing.
But really, I think in the third innings, 3 dismissals were, I don't even know what to talk about them because Pujara was batting so well. And then some half tracker, he just hit straight to hand. And Shreyas Iyer,
Sad dismissal.
It was bad, yeah. And Rishabh Pant, you can't say much, but reverse sweeping it to slips is comical. But actually, the worst part was Shreyas Iyer. I mean, it was so bad. This is 130 pace bowlers. They are not even the 140, 150 types. They are the 125, 130 pace. They are bowling short on a pitch which has supposedly eased a bit. So there is no extra bounce. I mean, at this level, you are just telegraphing the opposition that you can't play short balls. And that is bad, actually. I mean, so those 3 dismissals were like the middle order was ripped out.
I mean, and Anderson was placed exactly there for exactly that shot, and this fellow plays just straight into his hands.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah, it was. And I genuinely think Shreyas Iyer is a better batsman than he's given credit for. I mean, people are, I don't think he's a Raina kind of player who will not be able to figure out the short ball in Test cricket. I think he will be. I think he's also he has a good game off the back foot. But it depends on how many chances the team are willing to give him, because there are others waiting, and there are others injured. So when KL and Rohit and all come, whether Shreyas has a spot is a different matter. But India don't play a Test for a while, so who knows?
Even Vihari. Now that I think about it, Vihari chased the wide one.
Both of you are absolutely, completely shameless fellows.
Why?
I've been saying, don't drop Rahane. These guys are not better than him.
This is the worst time to bring Rahane.
I'm not. Dude, I'm not getting into that discussion now.
When has Rahane ever let you down? When has Rahane ever let you down?
Every time since like the last 3-4 years.
Like in this type of situation, look at Rahane. All the third innings, when you need a proper 60-70 to improve your team's match situation, Rahane always delivers.
This match, even Pujara won't have been there, man, if Rohit was fit. What are you talking, Rahane?
Pujara would have been there. Pujara would have been there, guaranteed there.
He would not.
You mean Vihari wouldn't have been there?
Or Iyer wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Dude, don't bring up Rahane now.
I have been saying for a long time that none of these players are better than Pujara or Rahane. I have been saying this for a long time, and I have
but KD, you can't. What you have been saying is you trust selectors, right? So the fact is that they dropped Rahane. You have to trust them. You have to say that they made a judgment.
But you didn't know.
What I didn't. I wanted Rahane dropped long ago. So
exactly. You didn't trust the selectors, no?
No. The fact that Rahane was finally dropped is vindication of my need to get him dropped before.
You are all completely shameless fellows, man. Now you're going after.
See, the checklist is done. Cummins is done.
No.
I predicted even that. I said that these other players are not better than Rahane, and you will do the same thing to these other players when they fail that you are doing to Rahane now. Go back, and I will. This is what I said. And
I genuinely think Shreyas Iyer is a good batsman. Now, what part of that is making you think I want him? I'm going for his head. I'm not.
Rahane, man.
But perhaps not at this stage in their careers, right? You also look at anyway. We have done enough of this Rahane dissection. Can we stop?
See, his checklist is almost done. He has talked about Cummins. He has talked about Rahane. Next, he will say.
At
go
this
ahead.
stage in their career, I would rather have Rahane's experience in the middle order than this green on.
That's why I'm saying solve all this problem. Drop everybody. Bring in Deepak Hooda. All right, Sanju Samson.
Rajat Patidar.
Yeah, we will do Desi Bazball.
That's actually an interesting segue into what I want to talk about the final innings. Okay, so one thing that struck me while watching the final innings is that it is almost impossible to bowl dry anymore. To set a 7-2 field, and to focus on off stump line and make sure that runs, like for 20 overs, team score less than 40 runs. I mean, you were able to do that at a certain time. Like I remember the mid 2000s which was the batting age, when teams would try to do that and sometimes succeed. You can't. Now they're playing reverse sweep and reverse paddle and reverse whatever else they're reversing comfortably. They are able to play. They are able to walk down the track, make room for themselves. They're doing all sorts of things to put you off rhythm. I mean, even a player like Lees, man. I mean, in Mohammad Shami's first over or second over in that final innings, he's running down the track. It's a huge risk to take against a bowler like Shami, but he's willing to take that simply because he's trying to put him off rhythm. So when bowling dry becomes difficult, when the players are practicing all these shots so much when they need, if you're playing T20 also you need it. But now even in Test cricket, it seems to be that you need it. I won't be surprised if many other teams start. If the run rates start going up as well, simply because of teams going for it.
Sure, but there is also a skill element to it because earlier, or let's say not earlier this year, late last year, Pakistan went to Bangladesh. Pakistan scored 300. That was a pitch where, maybe Bangladesh felt that they didn't have the skill to, graft an innings or whatnot. They tried this aggressive approach, like whacking everything from ball one. They were 87 all out, and they lost that test by an innings. Right? Pakistan just made 300. And these guys.
You don't even have to go that far. Sri Lanka against Australia tried the same thing in golf. They tried to whack a lot of whack in the second innings. If you saw that match.
So to do that kind of an approach, I think there is also a skill element to it and you need to have, even with great skills, you need to have people in good form. Like Bairstow may be a great, limited overs player and now a good test batsman. But if he was not in good form, coming in at 80 for 5, it would have been 91 for 6 and then the match would have been over. So I really don't know the validity of this. The Bazball requires a little of, certain conditions for it to be true. And those conditions may not be always available. So I still think that they should, it's just a reaction to their losses. They are trying something out new, and sooner or later they are going to face as much defeats following this principle as it brings them victory. So in the longer run, I don't know the effectiveness of this. I generally believe it will even it out.
No, I agree with Ashoka. I think there's going to. It's not.
Oh, this is shocking.
Bazball is risky, man. They're taking a lot of chances, and they're not always going to come off. And this whole thing about 3 consecutive chases and all that is also, basically India failed to break like basically 2 stands in each of those innings. They got the 3rd wicket, and if they'd got the 4th and the 5th wicket in all the 3 test matches, they would probably have won all 3. And they didn't. And they missed a catch or something here or there, and they had a review go wrong somewhere, and it happens. Generally they've done quite well. They're getting into these positions to defend these defendable totals, and they do defend them most of the time, but from time to time they're not going to. So I am generally skeptical of claims that some new invention has occurred in Test cricket. I think that localized in Test cricket, there are sort of, exceptional outcomes, which are, a marriage of, conditions matching abilities unusually well. You can see it, like, you have Anderson bowling in England, and that's a really, really great matchup of, conditions and bowling. Or McGrath bowling in Australia, again, a great matchup of conditions and bowling. And you get like amazing performances from time to time in those things, it happens, just as you get 60 all out from time to time in England, you're going to get, 400 for 3.
But just like in one day years, when England basically figured out that the middle overs, prodding is useless, and they continued to sort of maximize whatever. Is there a small chance that risk taking in Test cricket has been overestimated, and that there is a case to be made for more players to bat like this and maximize whatever? Is it just okay? Yeah.
I don't think so, because in one-day cricket, what happened was that they changed the rules, and they had one extra fielder in the bar inside the ring for 40 overs. So it's a different new ball from each end. So basically, you have Tendulkar. Imagine Tendulkar batting against like 5 fielders inside the circle, instead of having to bat against 4 fielders inside the circle. It changes everything. I mean, it changes, as Anil Kumble said, that changed basically a important equation in that it limited which boundaries could be defended, and so it limited. It basically made it so that bowlers could no longer, it limited the bowler's ability to deceive on length. Because what length was viable was reshaped entirely by which boundaries you're defending. So that's a huge change in the balance between bat and ball in one-day cricket, and there's not a comparable rule change in Test cricket. There has been an interesting shift in Test cricket because of DRS, which has changed LBWs and especially LBWs for finger spinners. But that's also just localized to finger spinners. No, it's not really broad. The fast bowlers are not getting more LBWs because of DRS, but finger spinners are. That's what the figures say. So I think there will be sort of localized advantages. It's like, you get Gilchrist coming in at 300 for 5, with Australia 80 ahead, and there's a very good chance he'll make a 80 ball 100. That's a nice marriage of his abilities and the conditions of a bowling attack which has already been bowling for 80-90 overs.
Yeah. Also, as in this Test match, if you see, I mean, there were a lot of strokes. There were a lot of reverse strokes. There was a lot of walking down the pitch. There was running down the pitch to fast bowlers. A lot of stuff was happening. But I don't think one should forget that while all that was happening, the balance that the batters were showing was supreme. I mean, it's like Joe Root. If you see the way he reverses the ball, and if you see him basically at the point of impact, he's just perfectly positioned. And that is a high quality skill to have. It's not like everybody who plays the game and who tries a reverse sweep is going to be able to do that in a Test match against a fast bowler. And we must appreciate that Pant and Root and Bairstow and whoever else who played in this match, who played in that way in this match, had it. I mean, see, Stokes, for instance. I mean, if you see his first innings, I mean, he was also trying to go after every ball, right? But
he hit 3 catches in 30 balls.
Exactly, hit 3 catches in 30 balls. So that is also another scenario of Bazball, is that we got the glimpse of that.
Yeah.
Bairstow and Root are one part of it, but that Stokes' first innings is very much a part of that strategy. And whether you want to sort of take that risk is up to you. I mean, you feel if it will come off, you go for it. But you will be embarrassed from time to time.
Sure, but that's an interesting hypothesis. I don't know if there are data available, but that question that you asked, have the batsman underestimated the risk of, the risk-taking ability? Maybe they would want to, take more risks.
Especially because the field set in Test cricket allows you that. It gives you gaps. It gives you stuff. Yeah,
correct. When the conditions allow you, maybe they would want to take the risks.
I think one thing is true though. It is that the sort of the percentage of batsmen at Test level who have a large number of cultivated scoring shots has probably increased from say 30-40 years ago, because so many of them are playing white ball cricket. Like Bairstow is a really top one-day player, and so there he has to cultivate these lofted shots, and he has to cultivate being able to score all over the field, not just have a strong area or a weak area, so that is true, and none of this is like, none of these players are playing like suicidal stuff. Everything they're playing is practiced. Everything, every reverse sweep, every reverse scoop, they're prepared it. It's like their cover drive. It's just a new shot that they invented. And it's invented because there's no fielder there. So it is a rational choice.
Yeah, it is. But the only thing that, other teams will probably look at is that, unlike one day cricket where you can pack your batting till number 10 and you have 50 overs. So basically if 10 of you can bat, each one has to face 5 overs or, at the most. So compared to that, in test cricket, you'll probably have 7 to 8 batsmen at the most. I mean, because you want bowlers to take you 20 wickets. So the moment you have that, and then the moment test cricket, you also have to bat like 100 overs ideally, or 80, 90 overs at least to get a decent score. So given that, the risk reward automatically changes. Calculation automatically changes. Correct. So I don't think this is like... Conditions change, bowling changes. I mean, well, you may be willing to take this risk against, on a flattish pitch with in these conditions, but will you want to do that on day one in India or Australia? I don't know. It's up.
Bairstow, for example, in the first innings, for the first 63, he was 13 in 63 balls. He was surviving by the skin of his teeth, for those first hour, 90 minutes of his innings. And it was not like he was taking chances. He started trying to take chances and he got lucky. He played and missed. I remember one over where, Bumrah beat him 4 times out of 4, the first 4 balls of the over. Every edge of his bat was basically beaten in that over. And he survived. And he's not always going to survive. The fact that he hasn't survived doesn't mean, it's still pretty wonderful that he's making all the runs that he is, because he's had a really hard time in the last 2-3 years. In his case though, the hard time has been made even more complicated by the fact that they have tried him in so many different places in the order, and they tried him as wicketkeeper, then they tried him as batsman, then they tried him as number 3, then they tried him as number 6. They moved him around a lot, and it's good that he has a spot now, and that he is. I hope he keeps the spot, even if he has even if he goes through a lean run. I hope he keeps the spot.
Yeah, I'm just reminded of players like Sehwag and Slater and all those players and Sehwag even made the point. He said, "See, my problem in one day in my advantage in test cricket is that the fields are so open for me that compared to say one day cricket, test cricket actually gives me that much more freedom." And the record shows that. He was a far more successful test player than he was a one day player, and Slater has mentioned that too. And I can see that why teams are probably thinking, with the array of shots that they have now, with able to go 360 degrees around the ground, why they would perhaps push the envelope a bit more. I can see that. But at the same time, test cricket, it goes through these phases. There's a podcast we did with Ian Chappell, which you should listen to, in which he mentions that his captain at South Australia, Les Favell, had a sort of an unwritten rule that said that I want 300 runs scored in a day. That is back then in the 60s. And if the team was 280 for 3, he would be pissed off. But if the team was 300 for 6, he would be fine. He's like, okay, we scored 300 runs. So, there have been players and captains and things in the past who have pushed for quicker scoring, trying to move the game forward. Steve was Australia, of course, gets a lot of credit for that 400 runs in a day kind of thing. So test cricket goes through these phases. They are glorious for a while, but invariably, in my cricket watching experience, the bowlers will find a way. They will eventually find a way, because they just need one good ball at the end of the day. They are always playing at an advantage in this game.
Yeah,
but and you see a distinction, right? Like Pant or Bairstow or Root, they don't look like they're rushed. They don't look like they're pushing.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, there was a segment. Sorry to interrupt. There was a small segment where Ravi Shastri on air, and it was interesting to hear him on air. given that he was coach. He actually goes through Rishabh Pant's defense and he says, look at the amount of time he has to defend a ball. Forget his attacking shots. Look at how collected he is when he's defending. And that is the basis on which he's building his attack. Yeah, go ahead.
But you look at those three on the one hand, Pant, Bairstow, and Root. They look like they're just playing normally, even when they're scoring quickly. On the other hand, you see Pope, and he seems to be straining. He seems to be, chasing things that he's not sure of. He seems to be, stretching. He seems stretched. He seems to be at the edge of his ability, so to speak. He seems just teetering, just on the verge of being off balance. And that's the distinction between being in great form and not being in great form.
Yeah, very well put. I mean, I think, again, I mentioned that podcast. I think Mark Butcher, it was, or maybe it was Peterson, who said that, when you are in great form, small things, I mean, you stop thinking about stuff that would otherwise irritate you. Like, are your gloves properly done? Are your pads correctly strapped up? Is your shoe, is there like something in your shoe? Is your helmet, not adjusted properly? You stop worrying about any of that. Those irritants don't come into you because you are so comfortable in your skin and in where you are, that the only thing that matters is the ball. All the other extraneous factors stop mattering, and that seems to be how Pant and Bairstow and Root are batting at the moment.
Yeah. And you look at Steve Smith, who's I think still better than all of these guys, batting at his best. It's the same thing. I mean, he moves around the crease and he takes the ball from the fourth stump and plays it to square leg, and it looks like the most normal thing in the world. It looks inevitable that he's going to middle it, and it's not inevitable. It's a really, really fraught thing to do that, but he does it. So I have now hit all my marks. All my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, but now that you've mentioned Steve Smith, let us get to the most important point of the podcast. It's time for Kohli to be dropped, right? I mean, is there any other option now?
I will rest my case on the Rahane precedent on this matter. I think I have won the argument with that one sentence.
This second innings, he was playing so well. I made the mistake of implying that on Twitter. And then I said, I want to say something, but I will not say it because you guys will kill me. I'll come back to this later. Like 5 minutes later, he got a great ball and he got out. People started piling on me. I was like, dude, I didn't jinx him. So I still feel that he's a great batsman, man. I mean, he actually in the second innings, I felt that he was at ease as he has always been when he was in the peak of his form. That ball, I mean, I don't know what the hell to do with that ball. I mean, how could you describe it? The same with Pujara in the first innings, right? Like, how could you describe that ball? I mean, how could you even face that ball? And those things happen. And there are other places where Bairstow will miss 70 balls and not edge them and then make 100. Consequently, same with bowling, right? Like Shami made took one wicket, right, in the first innings.
Oh my God, that 18-over spell, he should have taken all 10 wickets.
All 10 wickets. I mean, if law of averages holds, there will be 1 over of Shami where he will bowl 6 full tosses and get a double hat-trick for the bowling that he has done in this test. I think it should swing the other way as well. I mean,
that spell of Shami's, I don't think I've seen a spell with lesser reward for the quality of that spell that he bowled. He bowled 18 overs, man. I mean, of course, there was rain, so he could do that. But even then, what a spell.
There's no justice for him.
Yeah.
It's just unfair.
Yeah, so same with Kohli. I think he batted really well for 40 balls and then he got one he couldn't do nothing about. And that's the end of that. So Maybe I don't know. I don't know how this ends, man. I mean, we keep justifying this, and then people will keep telling him and the management. Now it has been 140 innings since the last century. Now it has been 10 years since the last century. So I think these all will start playing on his mind and also on the minds of management. End of the day, something will give at some point. It might not. It might not have to do anything with his batting form or his ability or skill, but it will just be this nagging murmurs which will push things to a bad place, exactly like Rahane. Yeah, to answer Date's point, I think, yeah, maybe something like that might happen.
No, and also I think, a lot of people are making the mistake of basing Tendulkar's final win that he had, that extraordinary run between 2009 and 2012, when basically, it just came out of nowhere. But a lot of people are making the mistake of thinking that Kohli will also have that run. I mean, it's not necessary, man. I mean, Tendulkar was like so exceptional. I mean, to have that in the final stage of your career, to have such a run, I mean, not many players have it. Kohli could have a good 1 year, who knows, or he could just not. And especially because of the kind of player that he is. I mean, we've discussed before how he's a very Ponting-like player, with hands. So if his reflexes have indeed slowed, it's going to be a problem.
I don't care what they do, but I am not going to. It's not objectively not true that there's a player going around who is better than him right now, who is available. Just as it's not true that there's a player going around right now who's better than Rahane, who is available. Okay, this is just you can drop whoever you want, you can pick whoever you want, but do not say that you're doing it because the other guy is better, because he's not.
No, but Kartikeya, there's also, that's all fine, but dropping Kohli also goes beyond cricket. I mean, he's. I mean, it's like dropping Tendulkar, right? I mean, it's like the brand and the name, and it's a far bigger decision than what the selectors can perhaps take.
Yeah, but no, but forget that. No, even on pure cricket, there is no case for dropping Kohli.
If Rohit comes back and KL is also back, I don't see why there is no case for dropping.
There is no case. There is no case. I would drop Vihari and Iyer and keep Kohli and Pujara.
I mean, Iyer, anyway, you would drop for one of them. I mean, Pujara, I don't know why Pujara has to. Okay, he's made runs here, but I don't see any reason why.
No, if Rohit and KL come back, Shubman will go out. I think those two will open.
Yeah.
Then your 3 would be either Pujara/Vihari. 4 is still vacant, man. 4, yeah. I think there is no viable.
I don't. As I said, I do not care who they pick. Just do not make the case that the one they picked is better than the one they left out. It's not true.
No, that is, again, we are not making that case. I'm not saying Shreyas Iyer is better than Rahane, but I'm saying that it is perfectly fine that they picked Shreyas Iyer. He did well, so continue picking him. No, big deal. Anyway, I'm not going to go back to Rahane now. That I should not go back to that Rahane discussion. But again, as I said, first of all, Kohli is a far bigger decision because, I think they had a problem that is the problem they had with Tendulkar at the end of his career. I mean, there was a case to be made for selectors were also on the saying that he should be dropped, but they couldn't because there were other forces at play. I mean, dropping Tendulkar or dropping Kohli is not a joke, man. I mean,
mainly there is a real reason why Kohli is not making runs. But you cannot say it because it is politically incorrect to say it on this podcast. It is that Kohli has spent so long playing in the IPL in that jumped up little hill station. It has finally had a bad effect on his batting. Okay, it was inevitable.
First of all, I don't know why he plays that format, but again, I don't want to get into Kohli and T20 discussions. So I will leave it at that.
It also did it. It also, that jumped up little hill station also did it to AB de Villiers. Okay, that guy was like one of the greatest test players going, and after playing in that stupid RCB team for a while, he gave up test cricket. It's like the evidence is mounting in front of your eyes and you're not seeing it.
Well, at least AB de Villiers was like a phenomenal T20 player, man. So you can't even blame him for playing IPL. So let's wrap this up. We have been discussing this for a long time. So final thoughts is basically one thing I'll tell you about Bazball, though, why I'm happy that this is happening. I feel that, in a place like England where cricket is not the number one sport, where it is constantly vying for space, plus you have, the ECB has taken over the chunk of the summer with their shorter format, like the 100 and the blast and all that. Given all that, I'm really happy that this is, sort of energizing the fans of England, and, this 4 consecutive wins. Who knows? They're going to play a series against South Africa. Let's see if this continues. It may well continue, because if the pitches are already behaving like this, it is, as the summer goes on, it's only likely that they will get better. And the flatter the pitches, the more the chance of this approach coming off. So I'm glad that England have decided to play this way. I think mindset plays a difference in cricket. Sometimes, when you're playing in a sort of when you are in a bit of a shell, the short ball may be something that you instinctively want to leave, or you instinctively want to defend that. But if you're playing in this mindset, you instinctively want to, you have the confidence to go for it. So I think all that is good, and I'm hoping that it brings in more people into watch the game, and why not?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, it's been an entertaining test so far. I mean, 400s. As much as I hate to say it, Jimmy Anderson's 5 wickets, right, and Bumrah, Shami bowling, and the final day of carnage. So, I mean, there's nothing to complain as a cricket fan about this test. It's been like the blockbuster that has been promised, and we got a lot of action, despite all the rains and interruptions and whatnot. So, why not? As far as Bazball goes, I think it's a non-thing. Actually, I mean, it's just
Bairoot ball.
Yeah, it's a marketing thing. If it works for them, great. But without batsmen,
I mean, if they can score 5 and over against Rabada, Olivier Janssen, and
it'll be great. It'll be fun to watch.
It'll be good to watch. Good to watch. Yeah.
I think they're in great form. They're not always going to be in great form. Things will fall back to earth. They always do. But the stars, I think, was still just James Anderson and Jasprit Bumrah, in spite of all the runs.
Hey, Shami, man.
No, Shami was the tragic anti-hero, man.
In fact, I felt
he was like Kajol in that movie where she's the murderer.
That's not tragic. She was the murderer. So she was the villain of that story. That's not tragic.
Anyway, we will continue to bring you podcasts through the time, and also please pick up Mike Marquis's War Minus the Shooting, which we republished late last year. Another book will be out soon. Again, as I said, I've been saying soon for a while, but hopefully it is very soon that we will be republishing it. And I will put out a link for that book. Follow us at 81 All Out on Twitter. 81allout.com is our website. You can subscribe to our podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you want. Leave a rating and a review. And it will really help if other people can find us. Thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for all the generous words and constructive criticism that you provide. And we'll join you soon. Thanks, Ashoka. Thanks, Karthikeya.
Thanks.
India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for 2. India at home. Lords goes wild.